Sapienza of Rome, that for a lot of reasons comes from a long history that passed also by Pisa. And is in Rome. He has been the director of the department. He has been a lot involved in the Sapienza activities and has a long career in distributed systems and security and other things. And today we present a talk about frauds in cryptocurrency ecosystem that we wish to listen.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Raffaele. It is a pleasure to be here. So today we're going to talk about frauds in the cryptocurrency market. And first, the motivation. We have like an official motivation, which is that we want to do research in cryptocurrencies to make systems safer for people. And then there is the real motivation. The real motivation is this one. So my PhD students were willing to become rich. Okay, so they started to trade by using the PhD fellowship, which is not that much, and they bought cryptocurrencies and they lost a lot of money. So the real motivation is another one. We traded cryptocurrencies and we lost money, we're upset, we want to understand more about this and maybe do good research in the process, okay? So what we did, so the idea was we might have been victims of scams, okay? And so we started to understand whether there are, if there is a fraud organized by the real groups, and if this is the case, infiltrate the groups, okay? Understand the fraud, and maybe design and propose countermeasures, okay, to protect people from the fraud. So this was the idea. So before getting into it, I need to explain a little bit about the blockchain, even though I'm pretty sure that most of you already know how it works. But you know, very briefly, there are also young folks here, maybe they don't know. So in the blockchain, it is a distributed system in which we have servers, and they get consensus on a list of transactions, and the list of transactions, it is like a ledger. It is organized into blocks, and basically you have to solve a consensus problem. So what is the next block? Who can decide the next block? So when the next block is decided, so if you have a transaction, you give it to one of the servers. These servers, through a gossip protocol, can give the message to everybody. So now every server has in the so-called mempool your transaction waiting to be committed to the blockchain. And so they need to solve a consensus problem to agree on the next block where maybe your transaction is contained, okay? This is the blockchain. So for people that know about distributed systems, you should know that this is the consensus problem. It is very old, and it is a fundamental problem. And there is a theorem called the FLP theorem that says that if the system is asynchronous and there are faults, even just one, then the problem is not solvable. So consensus cannot be solved in real asynchronous systems, okay? But we have two ways around this impossibility result. One is to use randomization, and the other one is to use protocols that, of course, they don't work in the general case, but they do work if we get synchronicity for a little while, okay? The most famous one is called practical Byzantine fault tolerance, PBFT, okay? Two ways to solve this problem. So proof of work, you might have heard of it. It is the randomized solution to the problem, okay? So the servers, the idea is like this. They have to solve like a puzzle, and to solve the puzzle, they have to work a lot, do many computations. And so the first one that can solve the puzzle is allowed to propose the new block, where maybe your transaction is. So being a randomized protocol, it is very well possible that two servers at most at the same time solve the puzzle, and so you can get a fork. This is called a fork, which is not a good thing, because you don't know which is the right blockchain, okay? So maybe half the servers believe that the first branch is the right one, half of them believe that the right one is the second one, and they work to extend the branch that they like. And maybe even for the second time, two servers solve the puzzle pretty much at the same time. And so the fork is not solved, but most probably, so this is a randomized protocol, with high probability, after some time, one of the two branches gets longer, and that's the branch that is going to win. Okay? This is called proof of work. And it is a randomized solution to the consensus block. Then we have proof of stake, which is the other solution. You use PBFT or similar protocols to solve the problem. But that protocols are kind of heavy. There are a lot of messages, so you can't do it with thousands of servers because the competition is too heavy. So it is done this way. There is a way to select like a committee, and the committee runs PBFT to agree on the next block. Okay? To get in the committee, you have to stack money. So more money you put on stake, higher is the probability you are selected for being part of the committee. This is why it is called proof of stake. Okay? So they can agree on the next block. Actually, if you trade, you don't do it usually on the blockchain. What you do, you use a market exchange. Okay? Here we have a few: Binance, Coinbase, Bitfinex, Kraken, FTX. FTX is dead. Okay, in November 2022, they discovered a big scam behind FTX, and basically it was shut down. And the guy, I think he's in prison, the owner of FTX. So when you do your trading, you do it on one of these servers. They are like banks and markets. It is like a bank because you can have an account to put your money, but they are markets like Wall Street because there you can buy and sell, and so they can handle buy offers and sell offers, and the price is the matching among sell offers and buy offers. Okay. So this is the typical, this is handwritten, and the typical price of one of these coins. So consider that the number of coins is that there are thousands of coins. So there are like stupid coins, Putin coins, lamb coin, whatever coin, okay? Thousands of them. And some of them, for some reason, at some point, maybe they don't, their value is very, very low. At some point in time, they skyrocket. And so people start to Twitter, oh, this coin is going to the moon, you should buy it because otherwise you are out of a big opportunity. And so the scam works like this. We are just professors and students at university, so we know about this opportunity, we buy, and we lost our money. Okay? This was the typical pattern of our investments. Okay? But there must be something behind this. So we started our investigation. This is called. This is actually a fraud. We were victims of a fraud called pump and dump. Okay? Pump and dump is a very famous fraud that is as old as Wall Street. The first example is an event at Wall Street in 1920. A group of people called the Radio Pool, they organized a scam on security, which is a stock called RCA. RCA is still alive. It has to do with music, At that time, they built the first phonograph which was completely electric. So you didn't need to do something like this to make it work. So it was like the coolest piece of science of that time. Okay? So they organized a fraud by artificially raising the price of RCA and accumulating it by doing buys organized, okay? And then after some time, sell all the stocks, okay? So the price of RCA went from around $10 to more than $500 in weeks, because you know they didn't have Twitter, of course. So they did it on the radio, newspapers, magazines, word of mouth, this kind of communication systems, okay? Took weeks, but they made a lot of money, okay? And remember, Wall Street markets like this one, they are zero-sum games. So if you win, someone lost, okay? So many people lost all their money, and it was like a big problem at that time. So the same scam is done on the crypto market, like almost every day, okay? So we started by our investigation, and during our investigation, we found several groups organizing pump and dumps. The biggest one is called the Big Pump Signal. They communicate using Telegram. The number of users, of members, is 72,000 people on Telegram, but they also use Discord to communicate. Discord is another system to communicate. I didn't know what it is, but if you are young and use games, you should know, because people gaming use Discord to communicate. And they use Binance as the market, and we have found 32 pump and dumps done by these guys for an average volume of a single scam of $7 million, of a single one, average, okay? So we infiltrated the groups, okay? And most of the groups, like the Big Pump Signal, have like a hierarchy. You can get into the group, and if you can bring other people, you go up in the hierarchy, okay? So first your ranking is like an affiliate, and then you become maybe a minister, a senator, or whatever, according to how many other people you get into the group, okay? And then this is the typical message sent to coordinate so many people to do the scam. So the message is something like this. It is sent to, using Telegram. So today at 2 p.m. GMT, we will push the price of a coin and create a hype that has never been seen. So this is the step-by-step guide. So 10 minutes before open Binance, at 2 p.m., we will announce the coin. So of course, people don't know the exact coin. Okay, you can understand why. Because if you know the coin, you don't start at 2 p.m. You start before that, okay? So you can get it at a lower price. And then, once you have bought the coin, share it as quickly as possible on all your social network. So you're supposed to send messages like, oh, this is a great opportunity, you should be out of it, buy this coin, it is going to the moon, and stuff like that. Okay, this is the number of pump-dump operations that we have found in the markets Binance, Yobit, Bittrex, Cryptopium in the period of time between 2017 2021. As you can see, there are many scams. So the fraud works like this. The pump starts. When the pump starts, everybody gets a message like this one. So this is the message of the pump. Okay, start and buy a coin called Neva. Okay, you can see, of course, it is like a captcha, so robots cannot be part of the group. Okay, you are supposed to be a human to understand that message, and you start buying coins. So the members of the group buy. The faster you are, the smaller the price you pay, and the higher the probability you make money. Okay? And then the victims buy, and then there is the dump, so the members sell all the price. So the VIPs are those people that higher in the hierarchy in the group. And these guys get the message a few seconds before, so they can buy a few seconds before the other people, okay? In some of the groups, you have to pay like $1,000 to become a VIP. And of course, there is an admin, and the admin can buy whatever he likes because he knows the coin, you know. So here, the situation is like this. Admins always win money, always. VIPs very often. Members, some win, some lose, depending on how fast you are. Victims, all of them lose. Okay. So we were willing to make like a simple detection system to understand whether we can know that there is something strange going on. And actually, this is not very easy because it is not enough to look at the price. Sometimes you get false positives and false negatives in this way. But there is a very distinct way you can understand that something wrong is going on because, you know, when you buy things in one of these markets, you can use so-called market orders. Market orders are when you say something like, I want to buy whatever is the price. Usually, if you are a sensible investor, you don't do it. What you do, I want to buy, and this is my price limit. If you don't put the price limit, this is called market order. We call it rush orders for some reason I don't explain here. And so by looking at the number of rush orders, actually, you can do the trick and understand that something wrong is happening, okay? So my students started to do like machine learning things because nowadays if you have a problem, first you use machine learning and then you use all the rest. And actually, and they found ways to detect the scam very quickly. So we compare our work with work done by researchers called camps, and as you can see, random forest and other boosts are machine learning solutions, and the numbers are just excellent. But most importantly, our protocol is able to detect that something is going on in 5 seconds instead of 1 hour, because 1 hour, all the operation lasts like a few minutes typically. Okay, so this is the first scam I was willing to talk to you about. Second one has to do with smart contracts, okay? I don't know if you are familiar, but this is the blockchain. So the smart contract is some code that you can put into, you can ask that is put into the blockchain, whatever is the protocol they use. And so after some time, maybe in one of the blocks, you get your code there. This is a smart contract, okay? In the smart contract, so there is some code that is like written on the stone, cannot be changed. And then if you want to use the smart contract, okay, you want to call one of the functions of the smart contract, you can do it. You give your function, everybody run execute the function, the method that you call in the smart contract, and then the new state of the smart contract is stored into the blockchain. So this is not very efficient. This is not efficient computation. Okay? It is just something that code is trusted, input is known, everybody can check. It is more about trust than performance. Performance is really, really low. Okay? But these smart contracts are interesting because they've been used to start a new hype, which is decentralized finance. In decentralized finance, you don't go to Binance to buy something, but you use a smart contract, okay? And so there is no market. and the finance is decentralized. It is on a distributed system. And so decentralized finance is supported by smart contracts, and DEXs are markets that are not like banks, they are executed as smart contracts. And new coins can be created easily. You just have to build your smart contract and you can build your new coin. And usually by using a liquidity pool. I don't know if you are familiar with liquidity pools, so I explain to you what a liquidity pool is. So a liquidity pool is okay, I picture it as like a pool, and you can set it up. And when you set up a pool, you have to put 2 coins, okay? Usually one is well known, and maybe the other one is the new one that you want to start, you want to mint for the first time. Any coin that is possible, okay? So we can put a little bit of Ethereum, which is a very important, well-known and solid crypto chain, and then maybe you invent a new one, okay? And the new one, I invented the Montella coin, the code is Mon, okay? We can invent it. So you students can buy, if you think that this Montella coin is going to be the next coin of the future, it is possible, and both of the coins are there. If you create the pool, you get so-called LP coins, liquidity pool coins, that certify that you are the owner. Other people can put money, and they also get LP tokens, okay? But actually the most important operation that you can do is the swap. So you want to buy the Montella coins, you buy them, and you put Ethereum. Or you do the opposite, okay? You sell Montella coins, and you buy Ethereum, okay? There is a very special rule that says that the product of X times Y, which is the amount of coins of the first type and of coins of the second type, is an invariant. And in other words, what we can say, that the value of the 2 subpools must be the same, okay? So for example, you can swap Ethereum and buy Montella coins, and so the number of Montella coins reduces, the number of Ethereum grows, and now the Montella coin is more expensive because the value of the 2 subpools must be the same. In this way, the price of the conversion is not given by the list of offers of buy and list of offers of sell, but it is computed in this way, okay? This is a swap. Actually, there is also a small fee that is paid if you want to swap like this. And yeah, and this is given to the owner of the liquidity pool. So the number of new coins that you can find, for example, on Binance Smart Chain, which is one of the most famous blockchains, is this one, almost 2 million new coins. Okay? Most of them are so-called rug pools, around 70–80% of them. Okay? Rug pools are scams in which someone does exactly like this. You know, you invent the new coin, the Montella coin, then you send a message to everybody in Parthenope University. You say this is going to be a great coin, so all the students, everybody buys Montella's coins. Okay, and when they buy Montella's coins, they have to put Ethereum, okay, which is almost real money in some sense, and then the creator can close the smart contract and go away with all the money. Okay? This is a rug pool. Almost all of them are rug pools in this environment. Okay? This is the number of rug pools that we have found in the binary smart chain, in the Ethereum smart chain. So the number is pretty big. And you can see in the third part of the graph then the amount of money that is moved is not negligible, okay? So there are people that have done like 20,000 rug pulls like this one, single individuals, okay? And it's also very hard to say that these are scams and that they should go to jail because, you know, it is totally unregulated. If you want to buy Montella coins, why not? It is up to you, okay? It's not, I'm not a scammer. You are an investor, and investor went like this. But one important point is that almost all of these coins have a lifetime of 1 day, okay? So if the lifetime of 1 day, of course, I mean, it is not like a great project, okay? One interesting case that happened a couple of years ago is about a new coin called Squid Game, okay? You might be familiar with the TV show. This is not related to the TV show, okay? So a few guys invented this coin with a liquidity pool, and the name was Squid Game. So I don't know how you can buy squid. I mean, if you know the show, you know that pretty much everybody dies, you know, in the show. So I wouldn't buy squid, but they did. Okay, everybody did, and so the price of the squid in 3 days went from $50 to almost $3,000. Okay, many people bought the squid at like $1, so they felt, I am extremely rich. But there was a scam. So the scam was like this. It's pretty neat if you think. They didn't implement the sell method. Okay, so you could only buy squid. If you try to sell, it didn't work because they didn't implement it. But even though these people are kind of smart people, they took a few days to understand what's going on because, okay, look, I invested $1,000. Now I have like $6 million. I wanted to sell a little bit of it, and they couldn't. And maybe you think, okay, maybe I'm missing something. I'm doing something wrong. And so it took time to understand that actually, until someone went into the code, which is of course public, and he saw that it was impossible to sell because the method was not implemented. Okay? And the guy who did this went away with around $30 million. Okay. So actually, there is a way to get rich with this, but I think it's kind of illegal. You know, I'm not saying that you have to do it. Okay. Another thing that happens in the blockchain is that, of course, you know, if there are 1 million coins like this, typically after being invented, the coin gets some value, and then maybe it disappears, you know, after 1 day. So there are new bots that are programmed to buy any coin seconds after it is invented. Okay, these bots are called spider bots. Okay, and you can use them. You can download them. You can find it on the internet. You download them. You can use it. And the spider bots, they do this. They look at the blockchain, and when they see a new coin, they just buy it. Actually, the smarter sniper bots, they don't look at the blockchain. They look at the mempool, so the transaction and the smart contracts before being put on the smart chain, on the blockchain. And so they are able to buy the coin in the same block when the coin is created, okay? So you can download it. They say you can make it 20 times daily profit. Of course, it's not completely true, but many people made some money. But you know, after some time, there were so many spider bots around that people invented coin just to exploit these bots. Okay, so you invented, the spider bots bought it, and you go away with the money of the spider bots. Okay, so it's like a jungle, you know. After a while, they were born like predators, and now they are prey, and it is really, really complicated. And this is the second kind of fraud I was willing to talk to you about. The third one is called front running, okay? So front running is a pretty famous event, happened 20 years ago in Wall Street, in the real Wall Street. Not with crypto coins, but with the real stocks, okay? It works like this. So actually, in the United States, like everywhere, there is not just one stock market, there are several stock markets. And so, for example, if you want to buy 3,000 stocks of some particular stock, and there are 3 markets, you can see the book. In the book, there are all the sell offers, and you see the most convenient one seems to be the third one on the right, bottom right, where you can buy the 1,200 for 97, and then you can buy the rest by the other 2, okay? So a sensible investor could ask to buy 1,200 here, 1,000 here, for example, yeah, and 800 there, okay? So that you minimize the cost, okay? Of course, all of this is done electronically, okay, at the same time. But the problem was that 20 years ago, investors noticed that all the times, the first transaction went through and the other 2 couldn't because the stocks that offer disappeared, okay? All the times. And so now, if the first offer disappears, they are obliged to buy at a higher price, okay? What was going on? Actually, you know, of course, in networking, the first server can be reached in a few milliseconds, and maybe you need a few more milliseconds to get the other servers. So in the first stocks exchange, there were people, they were looking at the offer of buy and guessing that you might be buying also from other markets. They anticipate you, okay? And buy the same stock at a smaller price. So when your offer comes, you get the transaction does not go through, and so you have to buy again at a higher price, and the same guy is going to sell you the stock. Okay? This is called front running. It was a very big thing 20 years ago. There is also a very nice book. It's called Flash Boys. Okay? It is about this event 20 years ago. It's nice, a nice read. Actually, this is happening in the blockchain now. It is even much, much easier because here you have to do the trick in milliseconds. So if you talk with the guys that are, they work in finance at Wall Street, they tell you that for them it is extremely important that the trade lasts just few milliseconds, mostly because of these attacks. Okay. So now it is happening we have like proof that is happening in the blockchain. Blockchain is much, much easier because you can look at the mempool and there are not milliseconds, but seconds or minutes before the transaction is committed to the blockchain. So what some of the miners do when they see a transaction to buy some coin, okay, they can do it like called a sandwich attack. They can buy on the same block of the blockchain the money before you, and then they sell it to you. Okay, and this is like a front-running attack, very, very common with the crypto coins. Okay, pretty much I'm done. Okay, so I think if there are some questions, I'm very happy to answer. I'm done.
Much. I suspect you had other slides, so we have plenty of time for questions. I can start with one. It's a curiosity. I never considered this kind of stuff, but it looks like that in many times, this is a place where if you can run a decision or a program that decides to do something in a little bit less than another one, you can do a lot of things more. Is it still true? It does. I mean, it's interesting because you should have some good computing power, but you should also have good connections to the place where the transactions happen. So it's both a matter of computing power and network.
You are right. You are right. It is a combination of systems and protocols or algorithms, whatever. And it is not. You know, now they are starting to use a lot of machine learning to understand whether you should make decisions that can be like buy or sell, something like that. And machine learning is not particularly fast and maybe fast enough. And so, I mean, I have no like particular stories about it, but it is true that it is an important matter now.
So it's a good place for HPC at the end of the story, right?
Right.
Okay. Patrizia?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Very nice talk. One question that came into my mind since the very beginning of this presentation, you put some references on the consensus protocols.
Yeah.
And these topics are very, very current, right? But still, the feeling is that the foundations on which they are based are still pretty old. And my question is, are these topics, and I mean, their strong impact they are having also in finance and investment, are pushing even development on the foundations on distributed systems, or they are just users of that kind of topics and algorithms?
Okay, that's a very nice and important question. So, yeah, actually, you know, the protocol PBFT, for example, was invented 20 years ago. There are other protocols like Raft and so on 15 years ago. These are protocols for consensus, and they are like traditional. So the question whether there is room for research which is like inspired on what's going on now, yes. So there are, for example, people, if you see, for example, it gets very important now to, for example, accept transactions in the same order than they've been collected from outside, okay? And as I'm sure you know, the traditional protocols are not concerned about the order of the consensus. So whatever you can get consensus on is fine enough, okay? And so there is research for trying to impose some order in the transactions while you get consensus on them. So unfortunately, most of the results are negative, meaning that it is impossible to do this, it is impossible to do that. But as you see, there is like fundamental research in this topic. Maybe not that much. It is done by very strong groups in the world. But yeah, there are some directions like this one.
More questions? Okay, so let's thank again Alessandro for the good talk.
Thank you.
And we can move to the coffee then.
The last one.
The last one, yes, as Raffaele says.